In the summer of 1945, when the world was collapsing under the weight of the Second World War, one man found himself at the center of not one, but two of the most catastrophic events in human history. This is the true story of Tsutomu Yamaguchi, the only officially recognized person to survive both Hiroshima and Nagasaki. A man who walked through hell twice and lived to tell the world what he saw. Tsutomu Yamaguchi was a 29-year-old engineer working for Mitsubishi Heavy Industries. He wasn't a soldier, he wasn't a spy. He was simply a hardworking man with a wife and a young child, trying to support his family. In August 1945, he traveled from his hometown of Nagasaki to Hiroshima on a short business assignment. After 3 months of work, the project was complete. August 6th was supposed to be his final day there. He was going home. But fate had other plans. That morning, Yamaguchi walked towards the shipyard around 8:15 a.m. The sky was clear, the air was calm, and then he heard it, a distant hum, a single plane. He looked up and saw a large silver aircraft gliding silently overhead. The Enola Gay. A small black object floated downward from the belly of the plane. It looked harmless, almost like a box drifting in the sky. Yamaguchi barely took 2 steps before the world turned white. He later described it as a giant magnesium flare. The shock wave hit him instantly. He felt his body lifted off the ground and thrown across the field. When he opened his eyes, everything was gone. Buildings flattened, people screaming, fires erupting everywhere. He looked down at his body. His face was burned, his arms were torn open, and both of his eardrums had ruptured. Somehow, he was still alive. Staggering through the ruins of Hiroshima, Yamaguchi searched for help. He saw people wandering like ghosts, skin peeling, eyes clouded, entire families lying in the streets. He pushed through collapsed buildings and glowing fires for hours until he found 2 coworkers who had also survived. Together, the 3 men made their way through the burning city toward the train station. Yes, despite the destruction, the railway tracks were still miraculously working. That night, Yamaguchi boarded a train, wrapped in bandages, half conscious, covered in radiation, and traveled back to his hometown. Back to Nagasaki. He had no idea what awaited him. 3 days after Hiroshima, Yamaguchi lay weak in his house, covered in burns. His wife treated him as best she could, unaware she was working with radioactive wounds. Despite his condition, he decided to report to work at Mitsubishi on August 9th. His supervisor didn't believe Hiroshima had actually been destroyed. Yamaguchi insisted it was true. He said, "1 bomb destroyed an entire city." His supervisor shouted back, "Don't exaggerate. How can a single bomb wipe out a whole city?" At that exact moment, an intense white flash filled the room. The second atomic bomb, Fat Man, had detonated over Nagasaki. Yamaguchi dropped to the floor before the shock wave hit. Glass shattered, walls collapsed, and once again, he survived the unspeakable. Yamaguchi, burned and radiation injured, carried his family to safety through the ruins of Nagasaki. Their house had collapsed, fires raged around them. But each time they escaped, they seemed to find just enough shelter. Over the next years, Yamaguchi suffered fevers, hair loss, and severe radiation sickness. But he lived long enough to see Japan's surrender and long enough to rebuild his life. He had more children, he returned to work, and he refused to let bitterness consume him. In 2009, he was officially recognized by the Japanese government as the only person confirmed to survive both atomic bombings. He became a global voice against nuclear weapons, a quiet man with a message louder than any bomb. In one interview, he said, "The only people who truly understand war are those who have survived it." Tsutomu Yamaguchi died peacefully in 2010 at the age of 93. After surviving the two most destructive blasts in human history, he lived more than 60 decades longer. Yamaguchi's story is more than survival. It's a reminder of the unimaginable cost of war and the resilience of the human spirit. A man who faced death twice and walked out of history with a message for the world: never again. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to War Chronicle for more real, untold moments from history.